Go ahead and take it away.
We did our interview with the Workability program over at the Anaheim High School District. My name is Jessica Santos.
Okay.
And through Workability, students with special needs can acquire the information and support needed for independent living as well as finding or picking a job. The main purpose of the Workability program is to teach them self-awareness, career awareness, job preparation, and independent living or social skills through the classroom presentations and activities. What data demonstrates the existence of the problem? Well, we looked up some statistics. It was kind of hard to know this because everything was shut down, so we can't really find many good websites. But one of them that we found was 7.1% of unemployed have no disability compared to 14.1% of unemployed who do have disabilities.
Has the problem changed over time, and how does it change? It's kind of hard to determine it because with the economy right now, a lot of people are unemployed, not just people with disabilities. So even though with disabilities, like you said, it was 14.1 compared to 7.1, almost double of people without disabilities. So it's really hard to determine if it's changed since the economy. What methods are used to identify and locate people in need of these services? A lot of feedback from teachers and supervisors. So pretty much teachers refer the disabled students to the program. That's how they get into the program.
It's through the Anaheim School District. So basically, if you're a high school student and you're within the district, you are probably diagnosed. If you are, you're diagnosed with learning disability or any type of disability, and you're automatically qualified for workability. Like you're automatically have to receive services. So that's how they get in, basically.
But they are special at all of them.
Yes, yes, also. What data is collected on your personnel when they are hired, they go through a long screening process, which does go into like fingerprinting and background check and stuff. That's all done through human services, and their education level and skill set is collected, so they all have to have certain degrees. What evidence do you have of staff skills and qualifications? Like it says, 8 degrees they're asked for them, and they're kept on file.
What information is collected on your volunteers, and how often is the data collected? It's collected by basically the people supervising them. They're the ones that do assessments on the constant assessments on all the volunteers and interns. Also, other observations they also get reports from students to see how the interns and volunteers are doing with them. What training do staff and volunteers receive from the agency, how often, and how is it assessed? Basically, the training they get is pretty much shadowing the supervisors. They shadow them, and then they do one-on-one guidance with them as well, the supervision.
How do you monitor staff performance? Through assessments and yearly evaluations. How do you know that the appropriate clients are receiving the services? Again, they have to be diagnosed with a disorder, so there are all the qualifications that need to be met in order for them to be in the workability program and to receive these services. And everything is kept track of, everything is documented, so that's how they know. And what data indicates that the activities the agency is perfectly doing are actually being inspected by staff and are being done at the level and rating specified in the proposal or annual report. Appropriate student behaviors and ability to maintain work, so that's how they keep track. Basically, they give them all the skill sets that they need to find a job, and if they're able to maintain it, that's kind of how it's reported. And everything, again, is tracked and documented.
What kind of outcomes do you measure? How often and what instruments and methods do you use? Basically, what they measure is getting hired and actually completing like the job placement. And also with that, if the student likes their job and they feel like they're being well received, since they're disabled, a lot of people don't really want to hire them and they don't feel comfortable with working with them. So it's pretty much them being comfortable being well received at the job that they're getting in. And they also get checked up right after the program, up to 2 years after that. And what standard do you consider success? For workability, for them the success is if the student is able to find a job after the program on their own without any help from.
What percent of them actually do that?
It's hard because, again, because of the economy, a lot of them are having trouble finding jobs, but so is everyone else. So it's kind of hard for them to determine if it's through the program not being effective or if it's just because the economy is bad.
And it's also hard to keep up because, like she was telling me, many of them change their phone number, so it's hard to get in contact with them with all their information, contact information gone.
What data do you use to evaluate your program's overall effectiveness? They have, in order for them to have their grant, they have a certain number of students that need to be served and those services need to be met. So it's just numbers being met, feedback, and kids who leave and keep in touch on their own and just reporting in and checking in and letting them know how they did. Do participants gain knowledge and understanding of the problems of the program? How is this measured? Yes, they learn a lot of things through the workability. They learn how, like, interview skills. They learn how to conduct themselves well, how to be professional and stuff like that. So they're taught self-advocacy skills, building strategies, how to be presentable, how to take a bus. Because a lot of them don't have transportation, so they do teach them how to take a public bus and how to navigate, and how, most importantly, how to keep a job. So success in employment is all kept track of through their annual IEP. Workability is part of the IEP also. So they, along with the counselors and the teachers, will set goals, and if those goals are being met, that's kind of how they manage understanding.
What methods do you use to determine whether a program operations are cost effective compared to other programs? Well, basically what they do, the program has, each program can use the funding as they see appropriate, and they also, they have like a set amount of money they can spend per student. So whether, like all disabilities are different, so sometimes they use like less money on one student and more money on another one. So it just depends on the student and their disability and their needs. What are the benefits of the program to stakeholders other than the immediate clients and their families? So the district is the stakeholders, state mandates the services to students, so they have to give the services to them. And with that, it benefits the community because it brings awareness for people with disabilities to the community. Make them aware that, you know, they're able to work as well like everyone else. That's pretty much that. What services offered by this program are done by volunteers, and how do you evaluate the volunteers? Pretty much like data entry and assessment for the volunteers. Some of the volunteers, there's only like a few interns that are accepted in the program, and not everyone, like not all the volunteers can be shadowing a supervisor, so it's very limited with what they can do.
So volunteers, if they do get in, they'll help do class presentations, they'll help do assessments, they'll help do, they'll attend like IEP meetings and they take part in a lot of the things that the main counselors have to do. Are any portions of your services underutilized? No. There's 12 schools and 3 counselors. And I'm not sure on the actual number, but there's tons of students that need to be met. So they don't feel that their services are underutilized. They think it's the complete opposite. They feel that they are overworked. So they think that they are definitely utilized to their full potential. And they're assessing this through people services, so it's just through their time and their energy that they put on a regular basis. What makes this location optimal for client access and how will it be evaluated? Well, it's in the school district, so any student that's in the school district with a disability has easy access to this. And the location, like their actual school location, affects them when it comes to like finding jobs or bus routes. So if they're in some locations might be really like surrounded by a lot of little shops or stores and stuff, so it's easier for them to find a job nearby, where other schools might be further away from them, to where it's not as easy, or they need to take several buses to get to their location. So it depends on where the school is located. What methods do you use to determine the effectiveness of your specific program activities? Taking the skills they learned in the classroom and putting them into practice in the community. So it's just them being able to take what they learned and put it into effect once they've found a good job.
On the strengths with the Workability program, he felt like the efficiency was met properly with all the grant funding. And also another strength was the population was being met. All the, like she was saying, all the disabled students qualified to be in the program. And also their extensive assessments and screening for qualifications are really one of their really good strengths.
We felt that for weaknesses, their outcomes, because they're measured only by observation and like the 1 to 2 year follow-up, which we said earlier that the follow-up is kind of hard because a lot of them have changed their numbers or they've moved, and it's hard to get a hold of a lot of the students, so a lot of the feedback isn't coming in as effective as it could be.